back everyone, and it's time to go ballsy! As promised, I'm covering Dragon Ball Super on a monthly basis, and with chapter 77 revealing a shocking news story about Goku's father, I can't help but be happy because Bardock is back, baby! This is the man that helped create the GOAT. Till this day, every Dragon Ball fan hopes for Goku to meet his father and would like to see how they interact. I still wonder why Goku hasn't just wished his parents back to life to meet them and see who they are, especially since Vegeta respected his own father and knew about Bardock exposing Frieza's tyranny. Dragon Ball Super chapter 77 clearly indicates Bardock's huge influence on Goku to make him become who he is even further. Bardock's importance and impact on us Dragon Ball fans all the way back from the 90s. Yes, I'm that old.
God damn!
He's been with us since childhood. Just look back at the Frieza saga in the 90s. We didn't have internet or access to the wider community, which means every episode meant something more to us. I'm a sucker for family relationships being explored in the anime I watch, and I remember as a kid being glued to the screen wondering who Bardock was and why he looked so badass. Especially this scene, leaving such a huge impression on me as a kid. Let's go back to memory lane.
Bardock! Who is it? Show yourself! Who's calling me? Come out! I know you're here! Bardock!
You know who I am, don't you, Bardock?
Yes, you're my son.
It's not too late, Father, to be different than him.
When that episode aired, everyone at school the next day was talking about Bardock. He made us question everything we knew about Goku, especially since Frieza immediately had Vietnam flashbacks about him when he first saw Goku.
Huh? Yes, that's it. Now I remember.
Bardock pretty much is the cause and starting point of the series, which makes Dragon Ball Super chapter 77 even more important as it adds to the lore we all fell in love with regarding him as a person. Even though some of the scenes we remember of him are not even canon, it's a good thing that he's having some limelight. Throughout the majority of the latest chapter, Dragon Ball Super takes a deeper look into Granolah's backstory, which reveals to us that he was Sasuke Uchiha after all. He even has the red eye, the Sharingan, let's admit it.
So true.
Following Maneto's story, we witnessed the flashback that dates 40 years ago when the Saiyans and the Frieza Force invaded the Cerulean planet. Like, imagine you're sipping some good tea and shit and then hanging out with your friends, but then flying ships appear destroying everything. The planet did not consist of many Cerulean or Namekian inhabitants, so conquering the planet wasn't such a huge task for them. Their power levels consisted of 200 to 400 at max. We learned that Maneto was the only Namekian to have survived on the planet after the massacre, as we see the Namekian Elder grant him the Dragon Balls in hopes of making a wish for their safety in the future. The next scene then cuts to Bardock in the Great Ape form, who is shown to be scouting on a large tower. He pinpoints a young Granolah and corners him as Granolah finds his way to his mother. The shock of seeing this big ass monkey makes him faint in fear.
He needs some milk!
The invasion continues, and at this point the Ceruleans have figured out the source of the Saiyans' power, as one of them aims a huge gigantic blast towards the moon. One of the Saiyan apes tries to stop the attempt, but the blast just grazes his head, still destroying the moon in the process. Now, one interesting fact about this little encounter is that the Saiyan who tried to block the Ceruleans' blast is the exact same one who accompanied Bardock in his ship during the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, as now he is recognizable by the scar on the top of his forehead in the next panel. His name was Leek. This is a nice way to show us the timeline and the direction of the story, as everything is tying together in a new canon of Dragon Ball Minus playing a part in Goku's life. With the moon now destroyed, this gives the Ceruleans hope, like, yes, we can fight back against the Saiyans. The one who destroyed the moon gets really excited, thinking he will be able to fight on equal ground.
A few moments later.
The Saiyans then go on a killing spree, clearing out any life they can see on the planet. Remember, Frieza is in the planet trading business, so he kind of has to clean out the previous tenants before, you know, so that he can sell the planets, making it even more satisfying seeing this fool getting slapped up, bruh. During this massacre, Bardock closes in on the location Granolah was hiding in. We can see him being guarded by his mother. This panel clearly shows where Goku got his drip from, fam. Because the father, and I have to say it, he be looking fire! Granolah's mother tries to protect her child by shooting a ki blast at Bardock, but just manages to barely skim him. Bardock seeing a young woman with a child made him very curious, as Bardock could relate and see his own family in them. In his perspective, this could have been Gine with Goku, trying to escape from an invader causing destruction. This triggers a flashback. We see his wife, Gine, complaining about Bardock missing the birth of their son Goku, eventually asking him to name the boy. Bardock, looking at the baby in an incubator, decides on the name Kakarot. After reliving this flashback, Bardock finds it hard to take the life of the two in front of him. Just soon after, League manages to find Bardock, telling him about the mission being over, getting orders to start heading out. Bardock proceeds to send him away, just as he is informed that Frieza himself will be coming to the planet very soon. Bardock then uses his scouter to confirm if there is any nearby life, in which he finds the surviving Namekian Minato. As Minato is hiding the Dragon Balls, he notices Bardock approaching. So just like any brave soul, he brings out his wooden cane, ready to bust Bardock's head in. It's funny how he got wooden cane, kind of reminds me of my childhood, you know what I'm saying? Anyone that got beats as kids? Let's relate. So keeping it real, that ain't gonna do shit to Bardock, because he just grabs the stick without even blinking. After seeing the surviving Ceruleans, Minato accepts their request and takes them into his home for shelter. Bardock gives him advice to lay low and keep off the radar as Frieza is coming. This interaction confuses Minato, since in his eyes, Bardock is supposed to be a ruthless, cold-blooded Saiyan. So he asks him what is his true motive. Bardock replies that he is doing this simply because he just felt like it. Bardock reveals his name to Minato, and the flashback temporarily ends with us returning back to the present day. Granolah is shocked to learn that he is alive right now due to the mercy of a Saiyan, and Minato, like an idiot, just brushes everything aside, apologizing for keeping this information from Granolah. I mean, if he had just told him earlier, then none of this misunderstanding would have even happened. But at this point, Minato points out the uncanny resemblance of Goku to Bardock, asking him if he has any relations to him. Goku being Goku says,
I don't know.
And this is when Vegeta comes in and reveals to Goku for the first time that the Saiyan Bardock is his father. We then get multiple panels of the characters reacting as if it's an Indian drama. Shout out to my Indian fans. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Vegeta makes the inference that because of Goku's kind and pure nature that he's held firmly, even since their first encounter, this type of behavior seems to run in the family. Vegeta's comment and this sort of behavior coming from Bardock caused a lot of drama in the community. Dragon Ball fans going absolutely apeshit like an Ozaru over the fact that Bardock is showing emotions just like Goku and it could have influenced him. Well, let me explain why I don't agree with this opinion. The main issue that I see a whole bunch of Dragon Ball fans complain about is Bardock showing emotions and being a good person that shaped Goku's character. Many people believe that it comes off as a retcon compared to the brutal and more ruthless type personality Bardock had back in the 1990 TV special version of him, which is now not canon, by the way. Even so, in our point of view, Bardock has always had this type of personality, even in the old 1990 TV special. If you look into it, kind of, balls runs deep. For example, when he witnessed his comrades die in front of his eyes, he literally killed the Frieza Force soldiers that were involved in their deaths. When he learned about Frieza's plan to eradicate all the Saiyans, even though no one had believed him, he wanted to get all of his Saiyan brethren to join together and fight against Frieza's tyranny, because in the inside, he gradually knew what they were doing is wrong. Unlike a lot of other Saiyans, Bardock cares about the well-being of others. Overall, this doesn't make him a good person. Don't forget that he's still responsible for the deaths of many different alien species all over the entire universe, and that's because of his circumstances. As soon as he learnt the truth, his kind heart pushed him towards justice. Another fact is that Dragon Ball Super made it extremely clear that Saiyans are not always evil. Bardock became who he is due to the upbringing and the culture that surrounded him. When we learn about the legend of the Super Saiyan God, we know that Yamoshi was a Saiyan of justice that bounded the powers of other good-hearted Saiyans to become a god to defeat evil. If we look back at the Dragon Ball series as a whole, all the Saiyans clearly become stronger through positive emotions rather than evil. A good example would be Vegeta becoming a Super Saiyan when he stopped caring about his ego and selfish desires. Vegeta admitted multiple times that one of the reasons Goku was above him in the past was because of his good nature, wanting to protect those he loved and fighting for the side of justice. Gohan went Super Saiyan 2 after he let it slip when his friends were in trouble and Android 16 died. He wanted to protect them. Goku and Vegeta couldn't achieve that power. Even Trunks and Goten as children were able to exceed the limits of normal Super Saiyan because of the humanity they possess inside of them. Saiyans genetically are drawn to have violent natures, and that's what they are attracted to as well, even in their women. But in reality, what makes them strong is being good and love. Let's be honest, I know it's cliche to say that, but you have to accept it.
Fuck you, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
So overall, there is nothing wrong with introducing Bardock into the story as a semi-good-hearted person, as it leads to his eventual betrayal of Frieza. Also, this would explain why, as a low-born Saiyan, he was stronger than the rest. It was his good nature that allowed him to exceed the highborn. In fact, Toriyama himself confirmed in an interview he's different from the other Saiyans, stating that he is not entirely a completely different person from the other Saiyans, but only that he possesses a calm judgment and a small measure of humanity. Therefore, it's not far-fetched to believe that Goku's capacity for humanity was greater than the other Saiyans. Some fans argue that this has retconned a part of what we know about Goku. Everyone is already aware how Goku mainly became a good person due to falling and hitting his head on a large rock, in which he then got taught moral lessons by Grandpa Gohan in the original Dragon Ball series. However, this even proves Goku's nature wasn't pure evil, as hitting his head wouldn't have changed his entire heart. Instead, it would get rid of any pre-programming and brainwashing was wiped away. Raditz said low-class Saiyans and babies are sent to planets to destroy them. This is either likely due to the epigenetics of Saiyan babies being rowdy and unstable without guidance, and once they see the moon, it's all over for that planet. Saiyans are violent by nature, but moving past that and choosing love, they gain true power. Regardless of whatever interpretation you take, Goku's brain damage actually reset him to his normal state. So if you put all the kind actions that Goku had done throughout the years right next to all the kind decisions that Bardock has done as well, Vegeta just made a quick observation to believe that the kindness and good deeds that Goku has done all throughout the Dragon Ball series is probably inherited from his parents in some way or another, as it runs in the bloodline. It's just it's not that deep, bruh. It's not that deep. He's just saying it seems to run in the family. That's all it is. But coming back to the story, Granolah then intervenes in the conversation, asking Minato on how his mother still managed to die in the process. So we once again go back to the past, as Minato explains how Granolah's mother died. It's nighttime now, and Minato along with Bardock are chilling outside their hideout. We get a real warm interaction between them. Bardock learns that Namekians have the power to heal others as Minato does his wuju on his cut. Sadly, the warm atmosphere breaks as Bardock's scouter picks up other nearby life energy who we learn belong to the Heeters. At this point in the story, Toriyama does us all a service by deciding to go balls deep in Frieza's Planet Trade Organization and all the nuances behind it, as Minato asks who the Heeters are.
Identify yourself. Who the
the f are you?
Bardock explains that they act as intermediaries for the planets Frieza has conquered. In simple terms, they are planet brokers, which means that after Frieza and his army do their thing, they sell the planets to the buyers through the Heeters. The leader's name is Elric, likely a pun on electricity. Then he is followed by oil, maki, and gas, which are all different types of heaters, by the way. Just a pun. Through Elec, we learn that Granolah's planet, which belonged to the Cerealian race, is now going to be sold off to the Sugarian race. Yeah, I ain't making this shit up. Sugar people are going to take over the planet. Elec, or Elec, however you want to pronounce it, tells his team to start the negotiation of price, in which they reveal how they bump the prices to ridiculous amounts. Elec is aiming for 100 billion pole. During this conversation, it's also revealed that these brokers are outplaying Frieza himself by giving him a low cut for only 1/10 of their selling price. Elec explains that most of Frieza's people are just in this business for the carnage, and in reality they don't know the true value of planets. Hence it's very easy to take advantage as long as Frieza himself doesn't catch on. Maki points out that Frieza, unlike his goons, is actually quite smart and has a ridiculous power level, so they have to stay safe. It is then revealed that by using their wealth and intel, the Heeters are planning to eventually overthrow Frieza and his organization. However, this plot of betrayal is overheard by Bardock, who is still hiding in the woods with the others. At that moment, Kid Granolah, who was asleep throughout the whole scenario where he was saved by Bardock, wakes up and sees him with his tail out. In his perspective, he just witnessed the Saiyans attack everyone, so he shouts out a Saiyan out loud, right? Giving away their position. I would be so pissed if I was Bardock. Monato once again knocks out the kid, but it's already too late. The Heeters already know that someone's out there. Bardock thinks quickly and tells Monato to give him his cloak, which he wears to hide his identity. As the Heeters approach, they see everyone and asks Bardock who he is. Bardock tells them he was just about to dispose of the survivors that he spotted. So to prove it, the Heeters order Bardock to kill them, but of course he isn't able to do that. Bardock blames his inability to kill the survivors on Monato, using some sort of strange Namekian Wuju power on him, stopping him from completing the task. But this man Elec, he doesn't care what Bardock is trying to say, he just boom shoots and kills Granolah's mom Muesli right near the top of her chest. This of course angers Bardock, so he blasts a smokescreen towards the Heeters, but one of them, Gas, preemptively forms a barrier, allowing Bardock and the rest of them to escape in danger whilst he was doing that. The Heeters are starting to get pissed off as they are confused by everything that has happened, and they immediately assume that Bardock is an enemy spy who eavesdrops on their plan. We go to where Bardock and the rest of them hide under a nearby ledge as Monato desperately tries to save Muesli, but all his attempts result to be pointless. I like how the story shows how Bardock is somewhat conflicted with his own actions, as he doesn't know what's gotten into him and how he got to this point of the story. Like, what have I done to myself? Bardock's emotions are very clouded and all over the place. Because of his Saiyan instincts, he's not sure whether he's ultimately making the right decision in the choices of hanging out with Monato and Granolah. The Heeters don't want their plans to be foiled, so Elec sends Gas to find Bardock in order to kill him, whilst the rest of the Heeters prepare to have a meeting with Frieza. I think most people in the community believe that in the flashback, Gas found Bardock, but when they fought, Bardock must have somehow won that battle off screen. We believe this is the case because when we go back to the present day, both Elec and Gas reminisce about the day 40 years ago, and Gas seems to plot revenge on Bardock, implying that he's gotten stronger than the last encounter. So I'm assuming that later on in the arc, we're going to see a battle between Gas and Goku, due to Goku looking exactly like Bardock. and Granolah is going to have his own battle with the Heeters because they're responsible for the death of his mother, and he'll enact revenge on them. So in the end, the final boss in this arc in fact won't be Frieza anymore, but now this time it's the Heeters. As for Minato and him being an absolute idioto and not telling Granolah the true backstory of his past, I believe Minato did this on purpose in order to protect Granolah from the Heeters, who would have easily killed Granolah before he made that wish to be the strongest in the universe. Which makes a little bit more sense because Minato seems to know that Granolah makes a lot of irrational decisions all the time. Plus, we literally saw him get his ass kicked by the Heeters back in the beginning of the arc. So if Granolah had gone in head on, then there is no doubt about it, he would have died within the fraction of a second. Anyway guys, that's my analysis and review for this month's Dragon Ball Super chapter. Make sure to join me next month by hitting the notification bell and checking out our merch. Goodbye.